The cave was about to collapse, but I left them there anyway. It started when I came downstairs just in time to see Dad heading out with my 3 brothers, all of them wearing their baseball jerseys and looking excited. Curious, I asked where they were going, only to learn they were on their way to the game. No one had bothered to tell me about it. Charlie casually brushed it off, saying it was a boy thing and that I probably wouldn't enjoy it anyway. I stood there watching them leave, trying not to let it show how much it hurt. The irony was that I loved baseball. I could throw a curveball better than any of them, but none of that mattered because, in their eyes, I was just a girl. Growing up, I was always left out whenever something was considered too masculine. Even when I managed to tag along, every moment came with some patronizing comment about whether I could keep up or understand what was happening. And if I actually succeeded at something, the compliment always came with the same insulting disclaimer: not bad for a girl. After years of hearing that, I finally reached my limit. If they refused to take me seriously, then I would force them to. The opportunity came the following week when I stumbled across an advertisement for a guided cave exploration tour. It sounded challenging, exciting, and exactly the kind of thing they would assume I couldn't handle. I brought the flyer to my family, expecting resistance, and I got exactly that. Dad immediately assumed I was only asking because I wanted to watch while they explored, and when I made it clear I intended to join them, the room filled with barely restrained laughter. He tried to discourage me, insisting it could be dangerous, and suggesting they should make sure it was safe before I even thought about going. I refused to back down. Whether they liked it or not, I was going. For the next few days, I prepared on my own, buying secondhand equipment that I carefully packed. A helmet with a headlamp, waterproof boots, gloves, coveralls, climbing ropes, harnesses, plenty of water, and everything else I thought I might need. When the day finally arrived, my father and brothers couldn't stop making jokes about how overprepared I looked, but I ignored every comment and focused instead on listening to our guide as we entered the cave. The tour began without any problems. While everyone else admired the scenery, I paid close attention to the guide's explanations, even asking a few questions that impressed him with how much I already knew about caves. Behind me, I could hear my brothers making childish remarks, calling me the teacher's pet, but I let them laugh. About 20 minutes into the tour, a low rumble echoed through the cavern. At first, the guide calmly reassured everyone that underground noises were normal, but within seconds, the sound grew louder. His expression changed immediately. He instructed everyone to stay calm and begin heading back toward the entrance, but before anyone could organize themselves, the entire cave shook violently. Rocks crashed down from the ceiling, dust filled the air, and panic spread through the group. People screamed, shoved one another aside, and ran blindly toward the exit. When the dust finally settled enough for me to see, almost everyone had escaped. Only my father, my 3 brothers, another tourist, and I remained behind. The woman hadn't been as lucky. A massive rock had crushed her, leaving her lifeless on the cave floor. My brothers immediately looked to Dad for answers while he tried to reassure everyone that we'd find another way out. He promised they would protect me, but I wasn't interested in waiting for someone else to save me. Rather than arguing, I began searching the walls of the chamber. After several minutes, I noticed something the others had completely overlooked. A tiny beam of daylight shining through a narrow crack high above us. I pointed it out several times before Dad finally looked where I was indicating. The moment he saw it, he proudly announced that he'd found our escape route. The opening was more than 12 feet above the ground, far too high to reach without help. Fortunately, I'd packed climbing ropes. We secured one to the opening, and Dad climbed first, only to discover the gap was far too narrow for him to squeeze through. Nick tried next with exactly the same result. Eventually, there was only one obvious conclusion left. I was the smallest person there. I was the only one who could fit. Dad still hesitated, treating me like a child even then, but he had no better alternative. I climbed toward the opening, slipped inside the narrow tunnel, and slowly began crawling through the darkness. The passage was painfully tight, scraping against my shoulders and forcing me to inch forward little by little. For a while, I questioned whether I'd made a terrible mistake. but eventually I noticed daylight growing brighter ahead. Just before reaching the exit, however, voices echoed from the chamber behind me. My family assumed I was already too far away to hear them. They laughed about the fact that I thought I could actually help, insisting they would eventually solve everything themselves before sending someone to find me. One of them even joked that I'd probably gotten stuck already, and another wondered aloud whether losing me would really matter all that much. Hearing them laugh while I risked my life to save theirs lit something inside me. Every insult, every dismissal, every moment they had treated me as less than them came rushing back all at once. Instead of stopping, I pushed forward with renewed determination until I burst through the opening and collapsed onto the ground outside the cave, gasping for air beneath the sunlight. After catching my breath, I sprinted toward the rescue crews gathered near the entrance, screaming for help. They rushed over, guiding me toward an ambulance while asking whether anyone else was still trapped inside. One of the rescuers explained that the cave had become critically unstable and estimated it had less than 15 minutes before a complete collapse. If anyone remained inside much longer, they would almost certainly die. I looked back toward the mountain and thought about everything my family had ever said to me, the years of being ignored, belittled, underestimated, and finally the conversation I'd overheard while risking my own life for theirs. Then I looked back at the rescuers and quietly answered, "No, just me." Maybe I was being emotional, but then, what did they expect? I'm just a girl.